ओके अस्सलाम वालेकुम। प्राइड एंड प्रेजुडिस के शॉर्ट आंसर क्वेश्चन जो है वो स्टार्ट किए हुए थे, हाफ फर्स्ट पार्ट में कर लिए थे। सेकंड हाफ जो है वो आज करेंगे। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विदाउट एनी डिले। 27 से स्टार्ट करने हैं आज। हु डू लिव विद मिस्टर बिंगली? कैरोलिन बिंगली एंड मिसिस हर्स्ट एंड डार्सी लिव विद मिस्टर बिंगली। Where do Mr. Bingley, Darcy, and others meet? They all meet at a ball. Bennet's sister come there in hope to find some suitable for their selves. Why does Mrs. Bennet arrange more and more opportunities of meeting of Jane and Bingley? Mrs. Bennet arranges more and more opportunities of meeting of Jane and Bingley because she wants Jane to marry Bingley. She sends Jane at Caroline's house where she falls ill. Where is the advantage of Elizabeth's visit to Bingley's house? Jane falls in at Bingley's house. Elizabeth goes to take her home. During her visit, she meets Darcy and finds him a better fellow than past. Darcy's behavior results a soft corner in Elizabeth's heart. What is the attitude of Bingley's sister toward Elizabeth? Bingley's sisters have no interest in Elizabeth. They try to degrade her before Darcy. Actually, they want to marry Darcy. Why does Bingley's sister make fun of Mrs. Bennet? Bingley's sister make fun of Mrs. Bennet when she comes to their house. The reason is that Mrs. Bennet proves herself a lady with shallow character and ordinary family background. Who is Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins is nephew of Mr. Bennet. He is an heir of the Mr. Bennet's property as Mr. Bennet has no son. Who is Catherine de Bourgh? Catherine de Bourgh is aunt of Darcy. She is snobbish lady. Mr. Collins is subordinate of Catherine de Bourgh. What does Mrs. Bennet advise Mr. Collins? When Mr. Collins tells Mrs. Bennet that he is interested in her daughter to marry one of them, she advises him to take interest in Elizabeth. What is the reason of Elizabeth to Mr. Bingley when he offers her to? What is the reaction of Elizabeth to Mr. Bingley when he offers her to marry? Elizabeth dislikes Mr. Collins and rejects his offer to marry him. Mrs. Bennet forces her, but she does not agree. What is the complaint of Wickham against Darcy? Wickham's complaint against Darcy is that due to him, he could not get his share in his property, whom Mr. Collins married after the refusal of Elizabeth. Mr. Collins married Charlotte Lucas after the refusal of Elizabeth. Charlotte is a friend of Elizabeth. What is the opinion of Charlotte about marriage? In Charlotte's opinion, man should not marry just for love. She is of the opinion that one should marry for social benefit. How Charlotte Collins marriage helps Elizabeth understand Darcy. Charlotte invites Elizabeth to her house after her marriage with Collins. Because Bingley lives at Lady Catherine's estate, Darcy gets an opportunity to meet Elizabeth and to prove himself a gentleman. What is the reaction of Elizabeth when she comes to know that Darcy has tried to put Mr. Bingley away from Jane? When Elizabeth comes to know through Colonel Fitzwilliam that Darcy has tried to put Mr. Bingley away from Jane, she asks Darcy, who confesses and feels sorry for it. Where does the matter between Elizabeth and Darcy resolve? Elizabeth goes Pemberley with her uncle and aunt, where Darcy's sister Georgiana greets her warmly. Here Darcy and Elizabeth understand each other. Why Elizabeth is worried at Pemberley? Elizabeth is worried at Pemberley after receiving the letter from Jane, who informs her about the Lydia's elopement. with Wickham. She is worried that she will never be able to marry Darcy after this news. Who finds Lydia and Wickham after their elopement? Elizabeth's uncle finds them. He asks Wickham to marry Lydia, but he demands wealth. Darcy offers Wickham to pay his debt if he marries Lydia. Who tells Elizabeth about Darcy's offer to pay Wickham's debt? Elizabeth comes to know about Darcy's offer to pay Wickham's debt by Darcy's and his uncle. She is much impressed by Darcy's sincerity for her sister. Okay, so प्राइड एंड प्रेजुडिस के शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन आंसर जो हैं वो कंप्लीट हो गए. 2 पार्ट में है, तो डू वॉच बोथ द पार्ट्स एंड अल्लाह हाफिज़. स्टे ट्यून एंड सब्सक्राइब माई चैनल.